Hey everybody, Ryan F. MTG here, and today we're talking about another EXGP. Before we get into that, I do want to apologize / clarify something. On my last EXGP video, I talked about how EXGPs were going to be every month and once per month, but that is not the case. Obviously, we had one last week, we're having one this week. I'm still unsure if they will be once a week or if it will be a little bit more sporadic, but we will be getting more in the future. There's not just once a month. So that is kind of exciting. It makes it a little bit more fun because we have a couple new different formats to look forward to, at least, 2 weekends in a row. And another way to get a playset of the foil selfless predation, which is awesome because before I was like, oh man, we're only getting one. I kind of want to play with 3. So that means if we go 4-1 or better this weekend, we can get our second selfless predation. So with that out of the way, let's talk about what's different about this EXGP. The rule change is that your MP is boosted ×2. So that means you net MP twice as fast as you usually do, which is kind of wonky and kind of fun. That means a lot of decks can be ramp decks and kind of do what green does, because green plays a lot of MP boosting creatures like the felines or the irises to net MP faster. But it's like, hey, you don't need to play those cards. You're going to net MP faster regardless. So that's kind of exciting. However, it's kind of hard to play with, right? We can theory craft, we can brew, but there's no way to actually practice the decks in, boosting MP twice as fast because, if we're playing free-to-play matches or ranked matches, the rules are the same. So I feel like going forward, most of my EXGP videos is maybe I'll do one, kind of like what I did last time, do one that's more theory crafting and brewing and talking about the decks, but without gameplay, because like I said, it's kind of hard to actually test these decks since, the rules are different, and then making videos on the weekend of doing EXGP runs, which sounds fun. So that's what we can look forward to in the future. So before we get into the decks, I do want to say, this is theory crafting, this is brewing, and in my mind, it's like, hey, all decks now can be ramp decks. So a lot of the times, these decks that I'll show you don't have tons of low MP cost units. It's a lot of high MP cost units because usually the higher MP cost either units or action spells are more powerful, right? So if you're giving me more MP to use, well, I just want more bane for my cards every single time. So I'm cutting out a lot of the low stuff. It could come this weekend and I could play and be like, wow, this was a terrible idea. I'm getting rushed down by these aggressive decks that are playing more 4 and 5 cost units rather than maybe like the 3 cost units a lot of aggressive decks play. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of wonky. So why don't we jump into the decks and then, shout out in the comments if you like these decks, if you don't like these decks, and if you think that more aggressive decks will be better. So for this EXGP video, I did brew 3 different decks. The first one I want to talk about is a Wesker Ouroboros deck. I really, really like Wesker Ouroboros. You get to kind of play with a fun, resurrect hero power, as well as you just get to play with broken cards, and that's a lot of fun. The main difference with this deck than the more traditional Wesker Ouroboros list is we cut a lot of the low impact revenge creatures like the zombie and the tyrant for more just heavy hitter, higher MP cost units that are more monstrous on the board and more things that we want to rebirth or Ouroboros back. Those big creatures are this monster. It's great. It has spillover. The growth is 6, so sometimes it's a little bit hard to trigger growth on this. However, we are playing more units, so it's easier for us to trigger the growth when we are playing more heavy hitter units that are 6 and above MP, so just one unit can trigger the growth, and then netting 6 life is awesome. And this is a monster that does show up in the regular Ouroboros builds, but we didn't have to cut our devils or our tyrants to add this in, which is very, very nice. We are also playing High Noble. This is just a great legendary that doesn't see much play just because it is 7 MP. Salvation of Souls is a very, very high impact action. However, Noble has to kill something in order for you to get Salvation of Souls, so there is some hoops to jump through. However, 7 MP goes a lot down when you are netting twice as much mana or MP as you usually do. Along the same thought process of just heavy hitter units, we are playing Dark because this card is awesome. And like I said with the other monster, the growth is a lot easier to trigger in this type of Ouroboros list when we are playing more 5, 6, 7, even 8 drop creatures. And then the whole other package is pretty similar. You know, we are playing some Selfless Predation, Mad Massacre, Murderous Spikes, and then of course the trifecta, or not really trifecta, the 1-2 punch, I guess it would be called, of False Throne and Rebirth. Because even though those are low MP costing spells, they are still very important for the core of this deck. And still having Selfless Predation, Mad Massacre, Murder Spikes, it's still nice to have low stuff because those are free if you do it in response to someone else's actions. And then we do have hard removal of 2 Destructive Instincts, and then 3 Obliteration. I usually only play 2, but yet again, 6 MP goes down a lot, and this is just a catch-all. So overall, I like this deck. It does look a little wonky, in my opinion, because we have quite a few more heavy hitter units, and we have less early plays, but it's basically all our big monsters, or removal or little life gain, or things to get our monsters into the graveyard or back from the graveyard. So it's almost very, very streamlined of exactly trying to execute the game plan that this deck wants to do. The next deck I brewed up was a Ryu Hadoken list. Now you would say like, well, Ryu always has a lot of low cost MP, so how is it really going to use the MP boost? It's because Ryu's so efficient. That's why Ryu is so dominating, because Hadoken is awesome, and it has so many ETB creatures that deals damage. So you just play those, and then maybe play some more heavy hitter cards. The heavy hitter cards that we are playing, we're actually playing 3 Lady, because Lady is awesome. Dealing 6 when she enters, and then it's also a 2/9 body, is fantastic. However, traditionally you can't really play 3 of her because she is 7 MP, and that is a lot. However, you're netting more MP, so you can play more of her. And then we are playing Inferno King because this card is awesome. Yet again, though, it's 7 MP. There are some hoops to jump through because it is a victory. But if you get 1 victory and 1 Supernova, you're winning that game. You're doing fantastic. And then we are playing Rathalos. I love this monster. Rathalos is awesome. He doesn't see much play anymore because he's 8 MP and there's more efficient creatures. But yet again, when 8 MP doesn't mean you have to wait around forever to play him, this becomes super efficient and just super powerful. And then a lot of the other cards in this list are just kind of your good old, Axles, your monsters, BB Hood, all the things that deal damage once they are played and enter the battlefield. And then, Chill Penguin, but most Ryu lists are playing Chill Penguin, because this is just another way to deal damage. We are playing, of course, we're playing Fate Defying Ryu, because why not? It's a great legendary. We are playing 2 Keen Cerberus, of the same mindset of why we're playing more ladies and high-end cards. This is 6 MP, so it's still expensive, but less expensive with the rule set, and this is great. It becomes a heavy hitter with Spillover, Halt, dealing damage. It can do a lot of work just for 1 card, which feels nice. And then, of course, we have some Trust, Aim, Suspicion. Even though this is, a low-cost card, you still want low-cost cards because they can be free to play in response to other people playing stuff, and you still need removal. Even though your units are doing a lot of damage and a lot of the removal, you still want some other removal. And then of course we're playing Dragon Lord's Judgment because this card is a house. Overall, this list looks super fun to me because we're getting to play with all the fun red cards like Lady, Rathalos, Inferno King, Ryu, where you usually don't play all these. Usually it's like, okay, I want to play all these, but they're all really expensive. They're all good, but they're expensive. I have to make adult decisions of which ones I want to play. But with this MP boost rule, we can be a kid in a candy store. We can use them all because we will net MP faster. So we get to just grab candy and eat all that we want. And that seems so much fun. Maybe this list won't be as good because it isn't super streamlined like most Ryu lists. But I don't know, it looks really fun, so I'm excited to play with all the toys that I always want to play with. And the last deck I want to talk about is a Morrigan Darkness Illusion. I really like Morrigan. This is a big Resonate style deck. I like that style of deck, and I love pairing Darkness Illusion with it because Darkness Illusion becomes hard removal. So your hero art is a hard removal spell, and then you just have these big creatures that are going crazy and then winning the game for you. This is kind of similar to quite a few of the big other Resonate decks that are running around. However, like most of the decks in this video, we are Kid in the Candy Store. We are playing all the fun, high MP cost units or action spells because we can. So our units are 3 Trish, Jury, Devil Hunter Dante, 1 Ko, and then 3 of this monster. This monster is great, however it is 8 MP, so usually I'm only playing 1 or 2. But this monster can just win games in and of itself, so I kind of want to just play 3, because why not? And then, of course, we're playing with V, because V is super, super good. Which usually you can't play 3 monster in 1 V, because having 4 8 MP cost units is a lot. Even though I'm talking about how I'm okay with playing more high cost units, or high MP cost cards in general, I am playing 3 Trish over a Buki or over more Ko, just because I really like Trish. Trish is only 4 MP, and +1/+1 is still a lot. Like, yes, obviously Ko gets +2/+2, which is more than +1/+1, but Trish also starts as a 1/6, which are kind of, better, maybe a little bit worse stats than Ko, but overall I've been really impressed with Trish, especially that Dark Destruction Wesker isn't that much around. So a lot of the removal that would kill Trish also kills Ko. And then, of course, we are a big Resonate style deck, so we want to have some action. So, we're playing the good old kind of the stereotypical package of Foresight, Deadweight, Crystal Hunter, and then we are playing Hookshot and Darkhold. And then we do have 2 Hidden Intent. I really, really like Hidden Intent. Usually it's like a 1 or 2 of. Usually 3 is too much because usually 1 gets stuck in your hand or you're losing too much life playing all of them. And then we do have 1 Power Grab. We are Darkness Illusion, so we do want a lot of halt spells to then use Darkness Illusion to kill everything, or use our halt spells in conjunction with this monster to have it be hard removal. But with Deadweight, I like Deadweight more than Power Grab. They are both not hard halt, because, 1 hits 4 or less, 1 hits 5 or less. But I really, really do like Deadweight a little bit more, just because of the 1 MP over the 2 MP. Yes, maybe that's less of a big issue because, we are getting more MP, but I'm pretty happy with Deadweight. Maybe it could be like a 2-2 split, right? But overall, I like this list. I think that big Resonate is always pretty good. Sometimes in the meta, it's better or worse, and Darkness Illusion is always pretty good. However, Darkness Illusion did get nerfed, so it does cost more art points overall to play. However, we're playing more 8-drops and even more 7-drops than I usually do in this type of deck, so we can actually get to our hero art faster. So I think that's another thing that will be very, very good for this deck, and actually kind of for Ryu too. We are playing more high cost MP cards, so we can get to our hero AP, our Hadoken, earlier, which is really nice. So those are the 3 decks that I'm most looking forward to playing. I think it's half I think they're going to be really fun, half I think they're good. I have not brewed a green deck. I do think there's going to be a good green deck because green usually just wants to play big, beefy units, and that really gets helped by the rule change. So I think there is probably a good green deck out there, and who knows, maybe low aggressive units will be overpowered in this format and will be a little bit better than I'm giving them credit for. But for right now, I'm really excited because all these 3 decks look very fun for me to play. So thanks for all watching, and I'll see you all next time.